my husband and I were out to dinner last night. We were at the Onion, and there was a group of men at the table next to us, and they were all talking about what I finally figured out was college football. I don't know anything about college football. I know nothing. And I watched one of the guys kind of shrink away from the conversation. He went to the bathroom like a lot of times, and then he kept trying to kind of change the conversation, and then I watched him just disengage from the conversation and engage to his phone, right? So that's a way to be ghosted by choice. But another way to be ghosted by choice was, here's a great example, I think.
Welcome to Friday Conversations. Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to do a quick shout out to Dryfly. It's our sponsor for our new location. If you need to check it out, it's absolutely amazing. It's unreal how big this place is. I did shut off my volume again. I apologize. So anyways, hello everybody that's joining us online. We appreciate you taking the time to do that. Feel free to make any comments. We will try to do our best to interact with you. If you have an idea you want to bring to the table, we'll try to publicly do it. So today, let's not just speak, let's listen deeply. That's where understanding and leadership truly begins. Let's go, baby. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Ribble.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Josh. You're a strange person. Okay. We're really glad everybody's here today. Look, I mean, look, we're at a new location. We're at the skinniest table on the planet. And it's really cool because we're going to have Shelia talking in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, that's really cool. So by introduction, we'll just do a very brief, quick thing if it would be okay with you. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Stephen Hicks. Tell us about you.
Hey everybody, my name is Steve Hicks. I run Thriving Body Holistic Fitness, and I've got a new wellness program trying to make health and fitness more accessible to more people. Eric, what about you?
I am a financial advisor, have my own practice, and I work with business owners on succession planning as well as more advanced concepts down the line.
Okay, Zane.
Well, today I'm Supergirl Batman. I appreciate Paz also dressing up for me today. But we like to not hide our secret identities. We're there to help you in your business and make sure that calls are getting answered and customers are getting taken care of so you can focus on your trade.
Okay, Brett.
Well, my name is Brett McMahon. I'm a financial professional with New York Life. I work with Eric Bond sitting here at the table, and him and I work as a team helping families, small businesses. Really effective in the new tax environment for Washington State. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know.
Fantastic. Cherie, good to see you.
Cherie Sauer, Success.Sacrifice. I help take the principles that help athletes go from average to Olympic gold and help business owners apply them to their business so they can grow and scale without burnout.
Awesome. Professor Robert.
Hey, welcome everybody. Robert Rutter with IDIC Designs. I work with business owners who are challenged with their technology, overwhelming them, and I help them simplify and strategize for their business growth.
Fantastic. Nolan.
Hey guys, Nolan here with Pay Compass. I also work with business owners in technology as well. And what we do is we provide business owners with a tailored solution for them to make sure that their systems run with ease so they can focus on leading their business.
Fantastic. Todd, welcome.
Thanks. This is my second week. I'm very excited.
We're glad to see you again.
Todd, with Lump, lots of moving parts. That's a patented search engine that allows the buyer to be in control and have the seller contact you.
And they can get anything they want from the system.
You simply put in a post, and the post crawls the internet and responds with the seller willing to sell you the product at your price.
Fantastic. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, I am Melissa Byron with Thrive Wellness, and I help people with metabolic function.
Okay. There's more to the story.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Sheila, we're going to come back to you in a minute. Okay, Paz.
Hi there, my name is Paz Rainbow, Rainbow Financial Protection. I have the privilege of helping my clients by paying them tax-free cash when they go through the worst that life can throw at them medically. All our policies come with full refund, and there's no lifetime limit, so they just keep going and going and going and going and going.
Nice. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, Jonathan.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Byron. I sell real estate. So if you want to buy a house, want to sell a house, want to be curious about real estate, anything in general, that is my thing. I love that. And then also I love connecting people. So getting a bunch of people in a room together, having a conversation, those kind of things. If you enjoy that, I would love to get to know you.
Introduce this young gentleman next to you.
Oh, man, this guy needs no introduction. This is my oldest son, Leonidas.
Hello, I'm Leonidas. I currently don't have a job, but I am doing Bitcoin day trading.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
My boy.
Yes.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Romeo.
All right, Ramel Watson. I'm the Associate Director for Employee Relations at Eastern Washington University. I work the Career Center there. And I do external work with all the employers. So if you're looking to engage with our stellar students, I am your point of contact.
Fantastic. Josh.
Hi, I'm Joshua Jamerson. I'm with Credit Fix Joe. We help people get from good to great or great to excellent with their credit. 79% of people have removable negative items. So I just help people clean it up so we can move on through life in a better financial position.
And I am Dave Ribble from Stand Up Mastery. We help you with communication, connection, collaboration skills so that you're not so nervous when you're sitting here with the rest of these folks. And that's what I do.
Excellent.
I'm going to hand it back over to Jonathan because he's got a special guest today and we're really excited about Shelia being here.
Yes, we do. And yes, we are. Yeah, Shelia, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, I know Josh mentioned it. I want to give acknowledgement and shout out to Dryfly. We're in their location, and this will serve also as an invitation. Anybody out there? We do have a pretty full table today, but there's room for more. We have a big outside of this area. We have room for networking and mingling and getting to know people. So come on down to Dryfly on Fridays for lunch and meet and greet that we do.
Got plenty of room for expansion.
Yes, sir. Yes. And thank you to everybody that's in the room. I know we did a lightning round of introductions, so we would have time for this conversation, but each one of you serves our community and we appreciate you for that service. And also just kind of acknowledging, we're going to get into this, but it's Halloween. And I don't know about anybody else, but I have been loving this foggy, mysterious weather. Like this is that time of year. And it's just kind of like cooperating in a way that it doesn't always. So
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, it feels very, very.
You're just a strange duck.
I am. I could take a few days of and then I'm done. But like right now, it's just been kind of a fun thing. So I want to kind of lean Shelia into you. I want to have you get us going with this. Because we had just the briefest conversation and instantly I was like, oh my gosh, like I could talk to you for an hour about this. Why don't we do it on a Friday? So jump into this.
Sure. So, the topic today is getting ghosted by choice, or the subtopic, how to stay true to your values when the room expects you to play along. So we've certainly all found ourselves in those environments and in those situations. And I think it's ongoing and repeated throughout life always. Yeah. And it probably starts when we're very young. And we're in a classroom maybe, or we're in a social environment or a family environment, and we see that we don't want to be part of that conversation, or we don't want to be part of that activity, or we don't want to have that be our story. Yeah. And it's kind of like what you were saying earlier about, having a snapshot that you can see from a conversation. Well, we live in a social media world now where conversations live forever. So if you're caught in the wrong conversation, or if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, that could live forever.
Yes.
And so when you approach things with all the things that you bring to the table, like maybe your background, and the conversation we were having was about Halloween. Yeah. And how we celebrate or don't celebrate. And if there are those of us who don't necessarily want to participate in the beheadings and the grave. My background is, my position is that I'm a marketing director at a retirement community. So we're not decorating heavily with gravestones and Grim Reapers, for example. And I have learned that our best way to move forward and know how as a business person to engage is to do so with regard to who our client is. So you wouldn't want to celebrate with Grim Reapers and gravestones. You would want to follow the lead of your client. Yeah. So that's what we do. So our residents are phenomenal. Their average age is 88 or 89 years old. Oh. And they do love to dress up. But, there's 200 independent living seniors, more or less, in our community. And of those 200, maybe 40 dress up. And they don't dress up as murder. They
Right.
dress up. My favorite ever was our resident Elizabeth dressed up as Queen Elizabeth.
Oh,
Nice.
It was so cute. She had the little purse with the salmon, everything Queen Elizabeth should have.
yeah.
So I've kind of learned that our best advisor is our client.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of when I was homeschooling my kids and we were working our way through George Washington's French translation of Manners and Customs, which was an ancient book when he translated it.
Huh.
And the thing that really stuck out to me, I was young, I was in my 20s, and I needed every bit of knowledge I could learn, every bit of wisdom. And I came across the part that said, everything you do in company should be done in regard to the company you're with. And it was a nugget that really stuck with me. It just, it follows a lot of other wisdom, and it's not an uncommon thought, but it's succinct.
Yeah.
So if you act in regard to your client in business and what's right in their presence, that's a really good advice. But also, if this was a snapshot in time and it was going to live on social media forever, that's how you conduct yourself now.
Sure. Yeah.
And it used to be that was your reputation, right? Now it's more than your reputation. It's a recurrent, possibly viral message now.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. So this is where we turn this into a roundtable conversation, and hopefully like ideas, and I like to call them threads that we want to pull on, have been kind of starting to percolate for you. So as we bounce around the room, allow those thoughts to kind of ebb and flow and really find that, like, what is it about this topic? Those of you that are watching on Facebook, feel free to put something in the comments. We're going to kind of monitor those and look for opportunities to shout people out. But here in the room, like, what resonates for you? And for me, it was this, like, I'm going to use this example because it was like the aha moment for me. I do not like golf.
We're not friends.
I know.
Oh, gosh.
I know. I just dropped the H bomb for some people. And so
What happened to you?
There are some, there are some people, and they're expressing themselves in the room, that are big golf fans. And if three of them get together and I'm there in the midst of them, and they're going to talk about golf, and I'm just like, I'm out. Now that's easy and obvious for me because I just don't like golf. You're not going to convince me otherwise. We can go down that bunny trail if we want, but not right now. But like, there's other things that are like, I feel like I would have to compromise who I am to be a part of this conversation in a meaningful way. And then it's kind of like, where do you end with clients, as you said, if my client is a Mariners fan and I decide I'm going to pretend to be a Mariners fan, right?
Not be found out so fast.
So fast. Because I don't watch football that much.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, no, it was landed in the bunker. No, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, what comes to the surface here?
Well, can we just like talk about what the definition of ghosted by choice is so that we have like a starting point of like I understand what you're just trying to explain. I think that was a great example, but
yeah,
you brought it to the table. So
Jonathan would like to be ghosted in the golf conversation.
Okay.
So I was actually, my husband and I were out to dinner last night. We were at the Onion, and there was a group of men at the table next to us, and they were all talking about what I finally figured out was college football. I don't know anything about college football. I know nothing. And I watched one of the guys kind of shrink away from the conversation. He went to the bathroom like a lot of times, and then he kept trying to kind of change the conversation. And then I watched him just disengage from the conversation and engage to his phone, right? So that's a way to be ghosted by choice. But another way to be ghosted by choice was, here's a great example, I think. I had some friends when I first moved to Spokane, and I kind of found out that their lifestyle was a go nowhere lifestyle. And I kind of found out that they had gone from job to job and kind of failed at things. And I realized there was a lot of drinking happening. And there was a lot of kind of continual repetitive failures to achieve that I saw occurring. And I realized this isn't my crowd. And if you know anything about me, that's definitely not my crowd, because I'm always, let's move ahead. What's next? Like, how can we be productive and contribute to society? and be a real community person. And I was ghosted and I ghosted them and it worked out for the best. I miss them. I wish the best for them. Ghosted.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, John?
Yeah, that was a perfect example. Thank you for that.
And actually, I'll pick up on that because that's where my thinking was going.
Yeah.
Is an opportunity we always have, especially in the story you told about, the one person who's sitting at a table, everybody else is in it but him. And then it's like, okay, I'm feeling awkward of things. And that's one of the reasons why when I'm in social settings, I am sensitive to those that are ghosting themselves and things. And I'm not, as Dave will say, we're not extroverts. We're not out there to engage with people. But when I see somebody really pulling away, I get out of my own way and make a point of going over and saying, okay, let's get to know them so that we are connecting and we're making a difference. And that's the other side of the coin is, you can self-ghost, but it's also an opportunity to look around and say, is there anyone else here like me? And maybe we can start another group, another context in which we can feel comfortable.
That's great.
So good, Rob. Melissa and I were talking right before this conversation about introverts and extroverts and about how the extroverts have to really look out for the introverts. We do. Like, we have to know they need some time and space. Melissa's an introvert.
Yes.
I think Jonathan might be an extrovert. My husband is a true introvert and I am a true extrovert. And so I have to notice when he needs to detach and needs to ghost by choice.
Yeah.
And I also have to know when it's time to ghost him and give him some space. So I think that there's a lot of application there. And it's a wise person that can look around and say, okay, in the beginning of this social circle, identify who might need a little protection from the socializing or a little extra attention. And that's just, again, comes back to looking outside of yourself and looking at the company you're with and what's best for them, not just what you need from it.
All the time.
I'm really glad that that's a point that's being made because one, I think that there's 99% of the time, there's always something that you can connect with someone on.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind of person who doesn't have a problem with telling a group of football fans that I don't like football because I know that there's probably something else that I can connect with them on. And I don't mind if they talk about it while I'm there, but I'm just not going to connect on that front.
Do you say, I don't like football, or do you say, oh, I just don't know that much about football?
What I say is, I don't care about football.
I don't care about football.
That's aggressive.
Brutally honest.
Maybe Super Bowl for the commercial. But
We
yeah.
can still be friends.
Yeah. So can I know there's a lot of people to say stuff, but I just want to kind of spawn off what Rob was talking about. Social IQ, the ability to read a room and feel and sense where everybody else is at. I don't know that it can be taught, but I think you can understand it. And if you can understand what social IQ is, how to read and feel that, someone's down, you can just tell by their body language, their gestures, the way their tone is in their voice. And those extroverts in the room, that's what your job is to lift those people up so they're not ghosted, so that they're part of the conversation. So I think extroverts have a bigger role than introverts. Introverts pull away, extroverts have to re-engage and reconnect to pull that all together. So social IQ, I think, is a really big part of it.
I'm gonna actually disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I think it can be taught.
Okay.
I think
And
everything can be taught.
I
Okay.
absolutely agree that everything can be taught. And then also, as an introvert
Of
myself.
course, the coaches have to think that.
Oh.
Good point.
I also think that as an introvert myself, I have the gift to be able to read a room and spot those that are like not talking as much. I have the ability to go to people and get them to engage in a different way. It may not be with
You have great
talking about.
instincts that way.
Yeah, it may not be talking about football, because I honestly don't care about football either.
We should just raise hands who doesn't care about football.
You know?
Let's go.
One question I love to ask people is, what do you enjoy doing?
Mm-hmm.
Not what do you do,
Yes.
but what do you enjoy doing? There's so many people that love to read books. Oh, what kind of books do you enjoy reading? You know, you love to go on a walk. Where do you hike? Is it like we're climbing a mountain? Is it a casual walk? Like, what is it? You know, and so I love being an introvert. And I think it's a great skill to have. It's a great you know, just who I am. I definitely have the ability, because of my husband, Jonathan, to be an extrovert, but then when I'm done, I love to go home and snuggle in my bed. But yeah.
I'm gonna agree with Melissa about introverts being perceptive in a group. I mentioned my husband's an introvert. He sees all kinds of things I don't see, and he sees the subtleties that I miss, because an extrovert's so busy being so much all the time. And I have a daughter that's an introvert, and I've always said from the time she was very young, she can look around a room of 100 strangers and know who needs a hug and how to hug them without it being weird. I mean, it's a very strange introvert gift, and it's miraculous. So I don't know if that's a responsibility that they have, but it's definitely a skill that they can definitely have and maybe didn't have to learn.
So is it just backwards then? So it's actually the introverts that have the ability to have that social IQ feel, that feeler, that vibe? Because I'm really am an introvert. I talk and all that, but I like to just lay in my bed and snuggle. I like to have my me time, my thinking, my graphics. I like to play on computers. That's all my me time. But introverts. So maybe introverts are the ones that have the ability to sense, because we're not being all
Well, I just
crazy.
think we would strategically approach it differently.
Okay.
I would engage you and try to get you up where the extroverts are
Yeah.
to see if you can benefit from going there. And Melissa would rescue you.
Yeah.
Literally.
But there is a great book about the power of introverts. And one of the things is and I wish the name of the author come right to mind, but one of the things I learned when I read her book about being an introvert is that introverts are misunderstood in the sense that everyone thinks they're not out there, so they don't feel anything. And it's actually the opposite in the actual nervous system. Introverts are more sensitive, and therefore they
can have way more going
the
on.
chaos around them just bombards their senses, and they just pull back as a defense mechanism. But it also means that they can project. I mean, I'm a teacher, and before class, you will see me, oftentimes I'll walk into a corner and I'll just be going, okay,
recharge.
Gonna be time to get ready. And then once class starts, I am projecting everything I've got outward to keep the room going. And that's why afterwards I've got to just, shut down and calm down. Whereas and I'm only quoting her science says extroverts need to feel that energy because they don't have the sensitivity. And so they don't feel it until it's level 10.
Wow.
I think that could be really true. Yeah, that could be really true.
There's another kind of way to look at that we look at. If somebody is an introvert coming up to an extrovert, who controls the conversation?
The person that asks questions.
And sometimes it's not the extrovert that controls the conversation. If the introvert has been, aware of how to handle that, they can sometimes totally control the conversation without the extrovert even knowing it.
It reminds me of something I heard a lot growing up. You might recognize the source. Even a fool is considered wise when he remains silent. So there is this idea sometimes that an introvert can play chess.
Better to be thought of fool.
And to prove it, as a fellow introvert, by nature, been in sales for the last 35 years, so I don't understand how I got into that. But I think it's more of a feeling of that overwhelmed nature of stimuli. And so an introvert tends to stay standoffish until well, it's not as necessarily safe, It's just we're not used to the bombardment until we have a time to speak. And at that point, we have something to say.
I see it as a social battery, like a fuel tank. Like introverts have this tank that gets depleted the more that they're extroverted. So introverts can be extroverted, whereas extroverts are just out all the time and that tank doesn't get depleted.
That's a perfect opportunity for me to throw a grenade out on the table. Here's my view of it. We are all extroverts and introverts. And
Oh, take the safe route.
We're everything and we're nothing.
That was too easy.
Yeah.
So what do you do in a social situation when you don't feel like you
Wait,
fit?
I wanna see John develop this idea.
Okay.
And I agree, there's a lot of false dichotomies, but go on, what's your thought about everyone is?
Both.
Yes.
I think we are both, and what we tend to label as extrovert, introvert is one of a myriad of things, but essentially, once I discover that my extroverted behavior it rewards the reward centers in my brain, I get something positive from being the loud, the bright, the woo, and I get smiles and I get laughs and I learned in school to be the class clown because people were laughing with me instead of at me. And it turned into decades now of me being this personality that's only one half of who I really am. And yeah, I'm with Melissa. There are times that I do want to just crawl into bed and be done. And there's times after something like this that, I mean, like, let's be honest, we're all gonna have to go home, like leave this space and just be like,
Oh, yeah.
because this is a high. And so what tends to happen is combination of self-identify and get labeled from the outside. And all of a sudden it becomes, and Cherie, I'm gonna pick on you because the owl camera picked on you before we got started. You hadn't said anything, you weren't talking, but you're wearing a bright yellow blazer. And the owl camera was like, she's important, she's gonna be saying something. It just, and I think you're wearing something bright, so we label you as bright until you tell us otherwise, right? But if you have this combination of, I think I'm an extrovert, and the world thinks I'm an extrovert, and I introduce myself, it becomes self-feeding. And honestly,
That's great.
we aren't allowing ourselves to dip back into the other half that is also part of our true self.
Yeah.
We are both, and healthy is going back and forth and being like, I'm boom, I'm out there, I'm wow, everybody's looking at me, this is great. And then I'm gonna shrink back and listen and absorb. And I think when we find that healthy rhythm, we can live in a healthier mindset, healthier interaction with people.
Yeah. So the term I typically use, because I have to remind myself that I'm an introvert sometimes, I use the term centrovert.
Oh,
And that's
Centrovert.
So it's a term that kind of gets to your point where you kind of utilize both depending on the social setting. And so sometimes if the setting is right and the subject matter is one that I feel myself in, then I'm all over the place. I'm just as energetic and all in. But again, if it is football, I played football and I don't even like football. I don't like watching it. I just like playing it. But even still, it's like if the subject matter isn't something that I am privy to at that moment, I get really quiet. I just get go into my shell. I might even reinterpret it as more of a learning environment, but even still, if it's something that's worthy, if it's something that I feel valued enough to want to learn from, then I'll engage in that way. But if it's like the golf situation with you, I'm gone. I'll start backpedaling or figuring out something.
I got back problems.
Yeah. So,
I got a headache.
yeah. So there's like layers to it for me in terms of how engaged I am. Yeah.
There's a misconception too about that extroverts are always very outgoing and extroverted, and introverts are very shy. I'm an extrovert because I get energy from being around people, but I'm also very quiet, and I also need to go home and recoup and rest. And so for me, it's about what recharges you. Yeah, like when I was a stay-at-home mom and I was not engaging with other people, that was bad news for me. Both my son, my oldest, and I are very much extroverts. Like we get energy from other people, and so being in a house together was like not a good situation. I think there's this misconception that, oh, you must be an extrovert because you are very outgoing and loud and all of these things, and that might not actually be true. Just because somebody's outgoing and loud doesn't mean that they're actually not an introvert. So
In your vibe.
to me, it's all about where you get your energy from and knowing that balance of how, like, there was an event last night that I was gonna go to. And I was like, my body is actually craving quiet and rest, even though I'm an extrovert, but I had been around a lot of people. And so it's, I think just figuring out what makes sense for you. And back to the conversation of like, what's the term ghosting yourself out?
Yeah.
Getting ghosted by choice.
Self-ghosting, yeah. Of that conversation of if you don't feel like you have anything to contribute to the table,
That,
then
yeah,
you're gonna go more introverted.
yeah,
Mm.
yes,
So.
yeah.
Unless you can balance it, unless you can somehow vibe and try to pick up on that energy, like you're saying, balance. I think that's great. You know, the comment you said about, I posted on here, centrovert's really good because it just, you're kind of neutral until you hit your day.
Yeah.
And then you kind of figure out what your day is going to look like and what the energy is going to be from that. So the balance, I think, is great.
There's
I
other
love all this.
divisions
It's amazing.
too, and there's other ways to analyze personalities and responses to social situations, like the INTJ and all the other things. I learned so much from our study that we did with our book group on the Enneagram. And Cherie was really essential in guiding us through that. But I think before I went through that, I would have, like, I actually thought my husband didn't like spending time with me and he didn't want to talk to me.
Wow.
Because I didn't realize what his motivations were, and it wouldn't matter if he said he needed a certain amount of time of quiet by himself. When I understood what his Enneagram type was, I was so excited to learn he just needed time by himself. Even I didn't know that. So like when Cherie last night didn't join us for our birthday party, in the past, I probably would have said, oh, Cherie, please come. It would mean so much to our friend Fiona. But instead, I was like, oh, that's great. We'll see you next time. And it was like, you stop putting the expectations on other people. The same is true in my place of work. So remember, 200 seniors, 88, 89 years old on average. When people move in, they move in because they need socialization or they don't want socialization. They need company or they don't want company. They want to be alone. They want to be with people, and they all have different needs.
Yeah.
And they all have different things that they want. And so reassuring people that they can have their needs met and that they can have as much or as little as they want. And that they're not going to have, you know, the topic of the conversation, that expectation to play along with what somebody else's values are. So if your values are, you've now moralized socialization.
Oh, wow.
Now the people who are more introverted or need more quiet or need more peace or more space are no longer moralized as unfriendly. Immoralized as unfriendly, I guess.
Yeah, just to spawn on that, she's talking about the Enneagram, but you can go to personalities.org, take a 100-question test, and it'll get you out your personality type. You could take the personality type, go to Google or YouTube, and they'll explain what it is. And as you're listening to it, you'll be like, that's me to a T. And then you can share it with your partner. It's amazing. I'm an INFJ, introvert, judgmental, but not judgmental like I don't like you judgmental. I'm judging situations socially to feel the room. That's kind of my personality type. But yeah, I highly encourage everybody to check it out. It's amazing. It really does.
Personality type is whatever it says 0 to 100 questionnaires.
Divert to that.
Sheila, you said something I think really kind of puts a bow or tidies up the topic, like getting ghosted by choice. You were talking about like not worrying about like expectations, like with Cherie showing up, that expectation that you're gonna participate in a certain way. I feel like getting ghosted by choice, to answer Joshua's earlier question, it sounds like it's just the ability to not accept unnecessary expectations.
Well, and that's showing up authentically. And it's one of the things that Jamie Kern-Lima calls showing up not as your representative, but as yourself. So if your authentic self needs a little space and a little quiet, then maybe it's okay to not be social all the time. Even if you're, like in my case, my job requires that I'm constantly meeting and talking to strangers. And usually that's not one person at a time. Usually that's their whole family who comes in with predisposed ideas, and they're in a environment that they might find intimidating, or they might have completely unfounded pre-thought beliefs about what I'm going to tell them or show them.
Yeah.
And so I have to spend a certain amount of time conveying confidence in myself, confidence in what I'm telling them is true, and figuring out who I'm in the company of and what everybody's doing and what they all need. Who's the decision maker? Who's the financial person? Who's the healthcare person? Who's the talker? Who's the quiet one? Who's the spreadsheet person? I have to figure it out really fast. and I have to act in regard to the company I'm in, or I get nowhere. So I am on all the time. I can't have a moment when I say, no, I don't want to see them right now, or no, I'm busy, or lock the door and hide in my office. I am on. And I'm telling you, even the most extroverted extrovert, who is an 8, if you know the Enneagram, it is a gross thing to be an 8. Oh, dude, gross as in large. Oh. 10,000 gross. It's a big thing to be an 8.
Okay.
And then I do go home and I do go to bed early. And it's like full blast, pedal to the metal, and then it's hospice until tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it has to be that way because I have to be on, right? So I have to show up authentically. And sometimes at the end of that long day, I have social engagements in the evening, which I find very enriching, and they are the medicine for what ails me during the day, because the heartbreak and the struggle and the humanity that I face during the day. And I have to sometimes force myself to show up, and I'm not always super social. And last night, when I was at a birthday party, I left and I went into my phone to shop for a fuzzy sweater on Temu. I needed a little break.
Yeah.
I
To
think
not
one
be on.
thing that's important is that it's okay not to connect.
Mhm.
And I think in social situations, everyone feels like I need to talk to everyone and have a conversation and connect with people. But something that's really personal for our industry is we get to decide if we want to work with someone or not. So it's a very intimate relationship. And both parties have to commit to each other. And a lot of that is this a good fit? Are we
Trust.
the right fit?
Mhm.
And trust, yes. So a lot of times in social situations, it's important to be like, well, we might not be that compatible to really have a conversation. That's okay. You can have your niceties and things like that, but it's okay to not connect with everyone. So.
You're doing a disservice to yourself and to the person you're talking to if you're trying to connect on something that you're genuinely not interested in. If there's not a connection there, forcing it doesn't do anyone any good.
Yeah, like the Mariners football team.
We interview for a new agent to join my team. Like we try and uncover any, thing that would make them not want to do this. Like, hey, this is really hard, Also, you have to pay a bunch up front to be, their startup costs, et cetera. We try and dissuade them. Yeah.
So
Kind of find the passion.
I want to segue here because I think there's an insight here that we're kind of picking around the edges of, and it's a perfect transition into something we like to do here. So one thing that's fascinating about this is that we play 2 different roles in this conversation. One is the absorber and one is the absorbed, right? Like when I'm able to convey, whether it's an idea that I had, what I'm doing right now, or an emotion. And this is the one that triggered for me when you said and I think of first responders and people like you that just deal with like that level of emotional largeness, grossness.
Gross. That's gross.
It is, you're absorbing a lot. And what is your outlet? What is the space that you can kind of squeeze that sponge back out, if you will? The other aspect of it is that, and this is where we're going to switch to the room, there's been some people in the room that have been absorbing and haven't said anything. And so every week, we like to say, okay, if you haven't already gotten a chance to share, the rest of us are going to kind of taper down a little bit, sit contemplatively for a little minute, and give the quieter voices in the room a space to present something that maybe you've observed, but you're waiting for that long enough silence. Brett, you said it really well, waiting for the rest of us to listen to you. So we're listening now.
So one thing that everybody has been almost towing the line of is it's almost like you have 2 batteries. You have your extrovert and you have your introvert. And when your extrovert is shining, your introvert is like charging. And when your introvert is shining and you're just by yourself, all alone, your extrovert is charging.
Woo! Nice, bringing some power.
Why is anybody surprised at that?
Seriously.
I think it's real easy too in this conversation, because I'm fully a proponent of, taking your time, evaluating situations, knowing what you can contribute and what you can't. But it's also very easy, because I do this a lot, to ghost yourself out of conversations that you can be a very valuable contributor to.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know about football, it doesn't mean you can't take something from that and change that conversation. Sometimes you might have a group that just totally shuts you down and leaves you out of the conversation for all of dinner. But there are a lot of times where I think we prematurely ghost and we are like, oh, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I can't contribute. And so it's representing yourself in a way that you show, no, I do have value. I can contribute, even if it's something that's not inherently my strong suit.
Right.
Nolan, Todd, you guys got anything you want to throw out there? You guys haven't said a whole lot yet.
I think that, first off this is a very provocative conversation.
Yeah.
It has multiple levels, has multiple discernments on what's happening here. So to be ghosted, right away, by choice, when I read that, I was thinking, what does that look like? That's a person that wakes up in the morning and says, this is gonna be my day, getting prepared. I'm gonna hit the ground running. I'm gonna be on. Or this is the person that's fluttering or not sure where they're gonna be by choice. So I say to the person that gets up in the morning and takes on the day, because you get one chance, really.
Get your ball moving.
No redos. I mean, you can have them, and it's not gonna be the same. Okay, so don't allow yourself to be ghosted. Participate, take on the opportunity, okay, and know that you're present, that people aren't gonna ghost you. Okay, because you're delivering something that they can receive and they can grow from. And hopefully you've committed yourself to the people that you've chosen to be around to also receive what they're giving. Okay, but this is a very provocative conversation.
It is.
I like it.
Yeah. Good. Nolan, what's up?
Ooh,
What you got on your mind?
great conversation.
Hit it.
Trey, I really like what you were saying about how being a stay-at-home mom for you was difficult, because you get that energy from other people. And I think I'm very, in many ways, much like that, and I didn't really notice it until you said something, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, there's days where, I'll wake up ready to attack the process and just go kill it, and then there's days you wake up and you're like, oh, man.
So how do you turn that around?
Huh?
How do you turn that around when you have that day and you're like, oh man, and you're kind of extrovert feeling at that moment? How do you turn it around?
You gotta do it. You gotta grit up.
What
Like
do you tell yourself in your mind's eye? Like, how do you do it?
How do I do it?
Yeah, you wake up and you're kind of like, not today, man.
You ever seen Ronnie Coleman lift weights?
No.
No?
Sorry.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. He just gets himself all psyched up, and
Okay.
that seems to work, kind of like you were saying. Sometimes you just gotta feed off your own energy,
Interesting.
Like sometimes I'll be pulling doors, talking to business owners, and I'm like, man, that was a rough couple interactions real quick. I just need to go hang out in my car for a second and yeah, buddy you for a little bit until I'm ready to go.
I like it. I like it.
I think there's a lot of value to finding a baseline as opposed to peaks and valleys.
Oh, that's good.
Because you're gonna have your highs, but you're gonna have lower lows.
Yeah.
Find your baseline.
And giving yourself permission, I would say, to embrace those moments too. I mean, if it's low, maybe to live in that for a moment, knowing that then tomorrow will be different. But sometimes I think if you're at a low point, this inherent need to be like, okay, sometimes the yeah buddy, the yeah boy may not be, it may actually be exhausting you, maybe doing more harm.
Right.
And so there might be times where if you're down, you might just need to relax and be okay with it. Give yourself permission to just have a moment. Yeah.
Mind's processing perhaps.
There's also a book that's called 90 Seconds to a Happy Life. And she's professor at Pepperdine. And we've had conversations about that, but what she's found out was just that if you can give yourself 90 seconds before reacting to something, you reset.
Cherie's really taught me a lot about the value of rest, and she talks very frequently about Olympic athletes who, if they overtrain, then they're unable to perform. So that's what that reminded me of when you were talking about hyping yourself up might be making it worse. But going back to what Todd said about you only have one chance, go for it, right? It reminded me of a lot of conversations I had with Paz yesterday about you never know what's going to happen next. And in his line of business, he's extremely close to that reality. And so am I. We deal with people whose lives change rapidly, instantly, and are never the same.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's slow change, but a lot of times it's a instant change in your life. So your opportunities are now. Your opportunities are today. Your opportunities to care about somebody else other than yourself and be genuine are today. Your opportunities to learn how to accommodate an introvert or an extrovert and act in regard to the person with you more than thinking about yourself. You will get further in business, you will get further in life, you will have a happier life, and you will find that you don't need as many external recharges. And you won't need as much self-soothing, and you won't need as much of the things that you thought you needed to be safe or happy or recharged if you're caring truly for other people.
It's
There's a
not
cost
about
that comes-
me.
Yeah, there's a cost that comes with caring for people. And the cost is high.
Yep.
And the medicine of the sickness that you get from caring so much from other people is caring for other people.
Yeah, seriously. I was just, as an introvert, I often will walk into a conversation, just a random one, and I feel kind of paused. I don't really know what to do.
Pause.
I didn't mean
Go
that.
down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, you know.
That's never happened.
So what I learned was just asking questions to take the pressure off me, to put the pressure on the people that are the extroverts, and just ask the questions instead of like trying to start a conversation. Just ask a question, and then they'll spawn. And then you can spawn another question. You get to know them. They think you like them more because you're asking them questions about them. But you're also taking the pressure off yourself. And then at some point, you're going to find something. You're like, I can spawn from that, and then you take that leg and run. So that's kind of what I do as an introvert. I ask questions.
If you want to end a conversation about football, you only have to mention Taylor Swift.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, good call. What else we got, people? Who wants to?
Well, I find
Taylor
myself
Swift almost ended this.
wondering, just to
Yes.
borrow a phrase of teasing or pulling a thread here. So we have a few minutes left, and I think we could turn it around as business owners or as business, professionals that deal with the public. What should we be considering when we walk in to their situation? We don't know who we're approaching.
Yeah, true.
And what are the lessons we can take away of putting ourselves in their shoes for a moment and say, gee, they might be, in a situation where they're not looking for engagement right now, but you are there now. So, what can we take away as our relationship builder with people we encounter?
Listen,
Yeah.
listen.
Listen,
Yeah.
2 ears, one mouth. Listen more than you
I
thought.
was about to say that as well, but the other side of that coin is the quiet ones are usually the ones who want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually they're probably going to be closer to the decision maker.
Yeah.
I think what motivates you is going to dictate this quite a bit. So I every day I do it anyway. There's a lot of days where I don't feel like it, but if I don't talk to someone and they get cancer, I could have saved their home. Again, that's not about me. That's what motivates me.
Nice.
I think asking good questions that come hand in hand in our industry, so we really start from just asking questions. And a lot of times if you can have some out of the box questions, as you had earlier, but something directly in the finance industry, a lot of times say something like, tell me something about yourself, 5 things that has nothing to do with money.
Mhm.
Right? And then see where that goes.
Yeah.
And so we
Smart.
do a lot of just being the question asker in our industry and listening. I already said, but listening, because then it's all about aligning kind of the values and goals of the individual with their wealth. And it's always a difficult topic for most people when they first start having that conversation. So if you can really get down to the motivation and who that person is behind it, it all starts with good questions. So absolutely.
So, go ahead, Ramon.
So what's interesting about this conversation for me is that sort of how my mind works, as we're dealing with this topic, it works very like algorithmically, if that makes sense. Like everything everyone said today is correct. And for me, it kind of comes back to what Melissa said, which is in a way thinking introspectively about sort of where you are in that process, but always being willing to undergo the right training and the right coaching to try to move yourself down that journey. And I think that's sort of the ideal, is to kind of recognize where that is, where those shortcomings are. And if it's not for you, it's not for you, but still being open to sort of tease that journey out. And because I think that's the ultimate goal really, is to be your full self, but you have to kind of be willing to put yourself in that that process a little bit and being cognizant of it. But to that question about, the question about how do we engage with people, for me, I think it's just, all of that, but not taking myself too seriously at the same time. When you're in that moment, when you're talking to the person, they're going to be your best teacher in a lot of ways. And I think also too, not expecting there to be a reaction at that moment. And so when I work with students, oftentimes we get, some of our advisors, they get really bummed out about not having a lot of questions after they present to students. And because they're always tired. And sometimes when they get down to the dumps, it sometimes leads to them mischaracterizing the students. Oh, they're not engaged. Oh, they're da. And I'm like, just be careful. They heard you. They probably heard you. They just need time to process.
Yeah, not assuming, I think is.
Yeah.
As you were saying, like, or just with Halloween and people's beliefs and not just assuming that you know something
Yeah.
about somebody.
Yeah.
never know.
Something I've really had to learn as a coach.
Yeah, that's true.
We
There's
have
so
to
many
relearn
things.
it all the time.
Yeah.
We all we all jump to conclusions based on what we see or hear or think, or, here's a perfect example. So Paz had seen the graphic for this talk, and so he wanted to know about my upbringing and not celebrating Halloween. And not that he had jumped to a conclusion or did anything wrong, but his experience with Halloween and not celebrating it was with his wife. So then he asked if that was the same reason for me, because we only come into it with what we know.
Yeah.
We only come into it with all of our pre-thoughts and all of our experience, and it doesn't match that other person's experience. And so it comes back to their thoughts and their position and their situation isn't going to match what you think it is. And if you didn't take the time to ask the 5 questions, if you didn't stop and look around the room, if you didn't think about what is it like for these students who aren't responding, why are they not responding? If you don't go out of yourself and into them, then you have lost it.
Yeah.
You've lost the point.
And I think safe to assume that everyone is assuming things about you. And I've settled into, I used to really worry about, and still do to an extent, I felt this personal responsibility to make sure that nobody had wrong assumptions about me. Right? Like, oh, they might think that I'm snobby, so I better not be too eloquent with my words. Or they might think that I'm too slouchy, so I better stand up straight. And there's just this like, oh, I gotta make sure that nobody assumes the wrong, and as soon as I let go of that, and I'm still letting go in present tense, but as the more I let go of that, the more free I am to just be me. And if you assume something about me that whatever you want to fill in the blank there, like that's on you, that's not on me. And if you decide to ghost me because of that, then either that relationship wasn't meant to be, or over time, you'll come to realize that's not actually who I am.
Yeah.
And it sometimes is like, oh, that's a blind spot. That's something I need to be aware of and change a little bit, because that I could show up here in sweats with my hood pulled over my head and just slouch in the corner.
Yeah.
Like that would also be my authentic self in some settings. Right. And so
in sweats, what are you saying?
the fitness coach that lifts weights and does things can get away with it, maybe. So yeah, I think there's a whole world there of things. And man, I wish we had time, because one of the other thoughts that I'll throw it out there, maybe we have time for one response to this. The other side of this is what happens when you actually get ghosted, right? You send somebody a text, conversation's flowing, and particularly in this setting, I'm talking about like a sales lead or a client relationship. You coaches in the room I know are nodding, because you're like helping somebody get healthy or find success in something, and all of a sudden, no response. And you send them how do you handle that?
Oh, I totally talk bad about him.
You generate 10 more leads and you convert those 10 leads.
There you go.
Don't even give it a
Yeah.
thought, and you follow up and see if you can be of help to them.
That's the
That's it.
Follow-up can be
If
simple.
you have enough work, and if you're working hard enough, you don't have time to worry about getting ghosted by somebody.
I like
It's
that.
not even a thought. You just go.
But it is a thought for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Is it?
And I will speak to the other side as the person who ghosts sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's often not about what, what's being asked.
Yeah.
It's about the guilt on the other side of not being up, it's the reverse of that expectation.
Yeah.
I should be doing this. That's why I go Stephen all the time. I have to consciously force myself sometimes to be honest with my failings and saying, yeah, I'm not where you would want me to be or where I want to be. And I'm not looking, and speaking to the extrovert introvert, I'm not looking for a coach to rah, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. No, I need to find my why and then move forward. And so I'm gonna ghost until I have an inkling that I know what that why is.
Yeah.
And then I'll be back in contact.
Well, that clearly was a joke, but but really I want to dial it back though, because there is a bit of truth in there. And what I mean by that, joke aside, is that giving yourself that release as well and being okay with the fact that, that kind of hurt. And don't bottle it in. No one's around. Maybe let a couple things fly. But it's a whole tree fall in the forest, philosophy where if you're upset about something and no one's around, maybe have that moment where you vent for a second and then you regroup. Give yourself permission to be a little bit angry. It's a human emotion. And then once that's defused, you can bring it back. Okay, I didn't mean that. So moving along.
If any of you ghost me, I just will assume something terrible has happened to you and I'll check on you to see if you're okay. That's it.
Sent the meme of Kermit staring longingly out the rainy window.
Oh,
So when I get ghosted as a coach, like I do kind of make the assumption that, maybe things didn't go the way we planned, right? And there's always going to be a little bit of shame that comes with that.
Mhm.
And people, generally speaking, hate sitting in their shame, so they avoid. And I think that's where a lot of ghosting, at least on the coaching front, comes from. And so one of my strategies that I use, not as funny as Kermit looking out the rainy mirror, is, I sometimes try to make the situation worse. I know that sounds weird, but like if it's something like, hey, if someone's got an expectations, like we agreed that their step goal is, I'm gonna throw out a random number, 7,000, right? And they're not at that, I go like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. What are the steps at? Are they at like 300? What's going on? And then, it's usually not that bad. They're like, no, it's only about 1,200. But, and then once you give people permission to be worse than your expectations of them, like it cuts down on that shame, opens up that conversation, at least what I've found in my experience.
Sometimes people need that pressure though. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I always put the ball in their court. That's kind of the way I think about it. Is especially if you're somewhere along the process and it's not like a brand new door knock or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere along the process and someone starts to ghost me, I pretty much tell them, hey, maybe this isn't the right time. It doesn't seem like it. It only has to deal with everything you own and everyone you care about. So talk about that. I'll wait till you reach out to me. And I won't think about it anymore. I just move on to someone else who is willing to start doing the plan.
If you have 1,000 balls in the air, you can be kind to the one that's not working out and just go to the next. And then you don't have a personal slight involved with it. You can get on with helping somebody else and be kind to that person because you really want them to come back around. You want to see them again. They're in the hopper for later.
Have you given up on this project? Is a short, simple way to say that without getting too emotionally invested.
Can you be humble daily?
Do you know if I can pay my bills or not? You're in business for yourself.
I assume that people don't hate me and they're not ghosting me because they hate me. I
You
assume
think you have sore hamstrings.
maybe. I just
sort them.
I think that's one of the things, like when you get ghosted, it's really easy to get like angry.
Yeah.
You think there's some like insult there,
Right.
but like as Rob mentioned earlier, it's sometimes they just don't want to admit that they didn't hit that expectation. So I'm assuming they don't hate me and they're not ignoring me. They're just kind of hiding from their some sort of yuck.
Yeah,
So
it's good. There's so much in there.
you don't need to add more yuck to it.
All right, well, we are running rapidly out of time, so I do want to do a quick round of acknowledgements. I really want to give a huge shout out to Credit Fix Joe. If you guys look around the room, he's probably had some kind of special,
It's a draft. We're getting it going, but we'll get there.
Credit Fix Joe for all your credit fix needs. Thank you, Josh, for helping out with that. Rob Ritter, Idic Designs, and Dryfly collaborated on our lunch today, so hopefully you guys got to grab a sandwich before we all disappeared, but thank you to Idic Designs. And I know we've said it a few times, but thanks to Dryfly for graciously allowing us to host this conversation here. We are here every Friday, so if you know somebody that could be a part of the conversation that would gain from this, share this content, get this conversation out there. I think there's a lot of nuggets in there. I feel like I need to rewatch this or at least read the transcript and just kind of internalize some of what we talked about. Sheila, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Sheila.
Being here. And we will see you guys all next week. Bye.
Adios, everyone.